everyone. Today I sat down with Kimberly Thomson. She is a homeschool mom veteran and homeschool influencer over on Instagram. I really enjoyed talking to her. She provided all sorts of actionable steps and informative advice for homeschooling families or families interested in homeschooling. I took a lot away from this interview, and I think moms and dads will also take a lot away. She also talked about some resources that she's offering for homeschooling families or families interested in homeschooling. Absolutely loved it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to speak with you. I love your Instagram content. It's absolutely wonderful. So if you could just tell listeners who you are and what you do, that would be great.
Well, thanks for inviting me to be on here. I'm a mom and a wife and a grandmother now, and I homeschooled for 24 years, and I've been on Instagram kind of playing around. And I've had, as my children grew and left the nest, I was kind of like, what do I do next? I travel a lot to be with them when they're having children and things like that. And I just thought of Titus 2, and the older women are supposed to teach the younger women how to love their husbands and their children. And I thought that is what I want to do. So, and I've kind of done that, throughout my years with younger
Yeah.
mothers or friends or whatever. We've all encouraged each other. So I just started doing a little series I called Granny's Gold, where I thought, oh, this helped me a lot when I was a young mom, or this helped me with homeschooling. And then I have kind of expanded to doing some talking reels, which I told one friend is sort of like streaking through the neighborhood when I post those.
I get that. I totally get that. You're great at it. You have a wonderful, I think the term is stage presence or camera presence. It's wonderful. I love it.
Well, thanks so much. I say a little prayer and I post them and hope they're encouraging. And it has been encouraging to me how many young moms seem so
Mhm.
teachable and so open
Yeah.
to someone with
Yeah.
gray hair who's, things are a lot different now than they were when I was raising my kids.
Yeah, yeah. What differences do you notice from, I mean, maybe it's just the digital age that we live in. What differences do you feel like you see now as a homeschooling veteran?
I feel like with the homeschooling specifically, I think there's so many options.
Mm,
And I feel, and there were a lot of options. I mean, I wasn't really a pioneer, like these people who didn't even have
sure.
textbooks. I wasn't that. We
Yeah.
had a lot of things available, but I feel like there's just a lot of noise. And I think that people are,
Mm,
oh, did you hear about this? Like always, we're
yeah.
always like, oh, that's the new shiny thing. I should be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's so good.
obviously the
Yeah.
digital thing, is huge. I mean, it's just a huge distraction that my friends and I did not have. We
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
phone. I mean, we didn't
Yeah.
even have cell phones for a lot of years, right? We had a phone on the wall
Yep.
and we had TV. Eventually we had internet, but it was like dial-up. It wasn't just this
Mm-hmm.
barrage. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I like about Instagram is to be a little voice on there, like put this down. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody's retiring their husbands and living in an RV and traveling the country, and not
Yeah.
everybody has a farm. And some people live in small homes and they're old and they're
Mm-hmm.
just doing the thing and
Yeah.
loving their children, and they can do that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think it's really important to bring awareness, especially in the homeschooling community, because I think comparison is such a trap, especially with social media now. And I really like that you said there's a lot of noise, because I think that's the one thing we're seeing when we talk to homeschooling families at Next Era is that these people are so overwhelmed because they have no idea where to start because there are so many options. And you've got the digital options, you've got the paper copy options. I mean, it's really endless. So I love that you kind of narrow that down for people. That's great.
Yeah, I think at some point you sort of, and it does take some time. Like I did this and I did this and I did this.
Hmm.
And but then you sort of get a feel and you have to,
Yeah.
that's when you want to give people permission. It's like just because Susie's doing
Mm.
25 things, you don't have to do 25 things. You can do three things really well and your kids will
Yeah.
be great. Nobody's
Yeah.
getting it all done. And sometimes Susie, who's doing 25 things, isn't actually doing all of them very well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
find your lane and stay in your lane. At some
Yes.
point, I had to sort of put blinders on. I'd even go to home
Yeah.
conventions and just be like, I'm looking for this thing. I'm not
Hmm.
going to start second
Yeah.
guessing everything I've got in place.
I love that. What kind of, I mean, how did you kind of fall into Instagram? I know you said you want to encourage young moms. How did it happen one day, or did you just, decide to do it, or what does that look like for you?
It was kind of one day. I mean, I was on Instagram. My handle is Granny's Got Greens, and I got a lot of plants during 2020, and I just started, oh, this is how I'm doing this. This is how I'm taking care of my plants. And then I decided I started selling some skincare. So I started talking
Sure.
about that on there. And
Yeah.
that kind of gave me a little boldness. Like I
Mm,
talk about feeling a little naked out there. I was just like, here I am. I love this stuff. You should try this.
yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
and then like I said, I love the skincare and things like that, but it wasn't really motivating me. It wasn't like where
Sure.
my heart was. And
Yeah.
so I started to do it the Granny's Gold, where I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, this is where my heart is. I talk to my girls about this kind of thing. I talk to girls at
Yeah.
church and friends. And so that really got my juices going. And then in March is when I just decided to do a talking reel. And I
That's
just
great.
spit this script out and then kept saying it over and over until it felt right. And then I filmed
Yeah.
it. I just was like, who cares? I'm going to share this. I have
Yeah.
5,000 followers. Who cares?
Yeah. Right.
And it kind of went somewhere. I was like, oh, interesting. This is hitting a nerve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then to kind of bridge off of that, how long have you homeschooled? I believe you said you've homeschooled for 24 years. Are your grandchildren being homeschooled? Is it a generational thing? What's that look like for your family?
That is interesting. I did homeschool them all the way through. I started
Oh,
with
love
my
it.
oldest because I did not like the idea of half day kindergarten. I moved to our little town because they had great schools, and
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
going to do what my mom did.
Mm-hmm.
And the half day kindergarten was harsh in my buzz in a big way, as they say. I thought I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to mess up this day
Yeah,
with these other two little kids. So I thought, well, I'll just do kindergarten.
sure.
And honestly, by the time I was done with kindergarten, I was like, oh, we're gonna keep going.
I love it.
Um, but I always said, well, we're taking it 1 year at a time. So I
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
always, and there were times I asked my husband, could they go to this little private school over here? And he said, absolutely not. We don't have the money. And I was like, okay, that's clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um, some of my grandchildren are homeschooled. Some of them are in a small private school. And
great.
so I've told my daughters, you have got to get these kids an education. Everyone does. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You have children,
Yeah.
they have to get an education.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think or homeschooling is for everybody. I think it
Mm-hmm.
is a
Mm-hmm.
job. I think it's wonderful. And so I do try
Yeah.
to encourage people, but I told my kids, you get them the best education you can, however that works for you. Nothing is
Yeah.
so there's a
Mm-hmm.
cost either way. So you have to choose which cost you want.
I love that. That's it. I heard someone speak on a podcast recently. I don't remember his name. I think he's ex-military. And he was talking about homeschooling. It might have been with Riley Gaines, I think. And
Okay.
they were talking about how, like, either way, homeschooling you sacrifice, or if you put them in the school system, you sacrifice time. And I never really thought of it that way, but I believe someone else had posted, and we interviewed her. Her name's Stephanie Cavan. She talked about how you lose 16,000 hours with your kids if you put them in the school system. And that was just like, I never even thought about it in like a time perspective of how much time you lose. But then, there's other things that you have to, like, financial sacrifices that you have to make. I mean, it's a choice that either way, like you were saying, there is a sacrifice and there's a cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there were days I would joke with my mother, if any bus came by here, I don't care where it's going or when it's coming back, I would line them all up at the driveway and they can go. So there were definitely
That's
days
so
that I
funny.
questioned my sanity, but those
Yeah.
were, you have to just grab yourself and say, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to just go to the zoo, or we're just going to play today.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to
Yeah.
do the bare minimum to get our
Mm-hmm.
school check, and then we're
Yeah.
going to have fun. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what I'm seeing with people asking me questions is they feel so burdened. And
Mm,
I'm talking even people with a 6-year-old. Well, I'm not getting to everything. And I'm trying to
yeah.
say, a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
everything should be a lot of play. Maybe let's
Mm-hmm.
put the letters and the numbers. So I really am less about prescribing. I feel like I want to just give people permission. I wanted to
Yeah.
I could do school the way our family was built and what our interests were. Obviously, you
Mm-hmm.
have to get them, check all the boxes of
Yeah, sure.
we want them to write, we want them to have
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
If your family has a vibe or it's like I call it the broth. You've got different
Yeah.
vegetables in your soup than the family next
Mm.
door. You shouldn't be trying to be them because you'll never do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I just want to go. You guys have this. You've got this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so hard, right?
Yeah, I know. My mom homeschooled me K through 12, and we were talking about the other day. I said, I'm seeing all these moms who seem so overwhelmed. I said, what did you do? Like for her, it just seemed like she just kind of dove in and never really looked back. And I said, what is the difference between, she said, well, I just did it. Like I knew this is what I wanted to do for you, and I just did it. I mean, I just figured it out, even if it was messy along the way. And I think that's something that I've really taken away from your content is it might be messy. It might be, it might be imperfect, but that's okay because you're at least trying. And I
Right.
really like that you support moms in that. I think that's very important. And to kind of transition, did you use a specific homeschooling style? Did you kind of have a mix and match? I know like Charlotte Mason's out there unschooling, like where did you fall?
I felt more on that spectrum I call myself now a classical unschooler, but
I
it
like that.
kind of took some time. I was told don't jump in so fast, Kimberly, just take it slow. But of
Yeah.
course, you don't. Here's your kid, you're going to do it perfectly. But I
Mm-hmm.
did
Mm-hmm.
get to that point, and I firmly believe that you can really have a lot of play and a lot of relaxation
Yeah.
K through 6.
Mm-hmm.
7th and 8th, we started like they even did some high school level things in 8th grade. And 7th
Yeah.
grade, I really used like, here's a syllabus. Here's a
Sure.
book that we're going to get through this year. And we usually got through books in a year, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
that transition to me, it wasn't like, oh, this is junior. It was really like, we're getting you ramped up. So when you hit high school work, you're ready to roll. And
Yep.
I
I love
feel
that.
rather than, oh, by the time you're in 7th grade, you've had 6 years of heavy science. No, by 7th grade, you've been to the park, you've been to nature centers, you've
Mhm.
pet things, you've gone to zoos, you've read books about hamsters and gerbils and every rodent you could think of because you loved it. So when you
Yeah,
get to 7th grade science, you've got this whole
I love that.
knowledge base sort of that you can hang information on then, and you're interested,
Mhm.
you're curious, and it's not like
Yes.
this is harder work now. I just
Yeah.
for me, I saw that really work, that we had kept the love of learning alive. And
Yeah.
so the hard work was, I mean, they didn't love everything. They didn't love
Sure.
Latin for most of the time, but there
Yeah.
was an ethic, and they knew there were things they had to
Hmm.
get. So that's why, and
Yes.
then we were pretty rigorous. I mean, high school, my one daughter, when she first went to college, she said, I mean, she had so much free time. And we had her take an extra course or
Yeah.
two. I was like, you're gonna have so much
Hmm.
time. This is a waste of
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
she, oh my goodness, this is not any harder than high school.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Yeah.
that's where, so the classical came in. Like we did like Latin, we did like those kinds of subjects, reading
Hmm.
all those old classics and things. But for the early years, I would just have as much playtime as you can and keep it as
Yeah.
fun as you can for yourself and for them.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really important, especially like you were saying about building their interest and their love of learning. I know when I transitioned to college, out of like after I graduated from homeschooling, the hardest part for me was not like the material. I felt like I understood what was going on and the expectations, but it was the grades because that was so different because my mom
Yeah.
never really graded me. And I would say as like if you this is my encouragement to parents who are listening, I think if you can hold off grading as long as possible, I think for me that was beneficial because I got to learn without pressure and just learn in freedom. I mean, I don't know if you graded your kids, and if you did, that's fine. I'm just saying from my perspective, it was
Yeah.
better for me.
Yeah.
Um,
We didn't really do grades until high school when you need
yeah,
a transcript and
right,
they
right.
want to grade on there. So,
Hmm.
but we were not discussing it, if that makes
Yeah,
any sense.
yes, exactly.
I took some classes with other people. I did do that. And,
Hmm.
if Mrs. Davis loves teaching chemistry, I'm going to sign my kids up and have Mrs. Davis teach it.
Yeah,
So, and they gave grades. But again, this was high
yeah,
school.
yeah,
So
right.
I agree with you completely. It's not about speed. It is about
Mm,
mastering the content too. So
yes.
like, every one of mine got in that 3rd grade long division thing. It took me 2 kids to realize nobody's ready for the long division in my family at the end of 3rd grade. And I
Yeah.
just closed that book and we
Hmm.
played around in the math we
Hmm.
knew and had fun, and we started it in the fall and everybody got it.
Love
So
that.
I think it's like we don't get too agitated. I mean, some people do now probably about who's crawling first or who's walking first.
Mm-hmm.
We need to relax that some people are developmentally ready for math things,
Yep.
some
Yep.
more or sooner than others.
Mm-hmm.
To just
Yeah.
relax.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think that's really important, especially how we were talking earlier about all these options. I think it's so easy to get overwhelmed and stressed out, and it's really not that complicated. I mean, just start and like you said, you'll figure it out along the way and just relax and have fun. I think
Yes.
that's really the whole premise of it. And that's the whole, to me, the whole meaning of education itself is
Yes.
learning through fun and through play. And to kind of transition, what inspired you to homeschool in the first place? I know you talked a little bit about the kindergarten situation. Was there anything else that kind of influenced that?
Well, I had met a couple homeschool families and I loved their the vibe amongst the siblings. I loved
Mm,
that we were all
yeah.
real good friends. And I'm very close to my siblings. But I wasn't growing up as much because we were,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
our mm, groups, right? And
Sure.
understandably.
Yeah.
And so I really loved that. And when I probably the book that made the biggest difference to me is called For the Children's Sake by Susan Schaefer Macaulay.
Mm,
She's Frances Schaefer and Edith Schaefer's daughter, if you've heard of them.
okay. Mhm.
And she just talked about this education that went through life. And it's not,
Mm,
you start at 8 and you end at 3. It's, oh, it might even be after dinner time because you're reading this great book, or it's while you're
yeah.
going to these places.
Yeah.
So that's what kept me going was that how much we did together. I did very
Mm,
specific math, you know, there's certain things you have to be grade level, right? Like I'm not going to have my
right.
seventh grader and my kindergartner doing math.
Right.
But
Right.
we have a
Right.
second grader and a third grader doing math together. So
Right.
we did those individual things and then everything else we really did together.
I
Again,
love
until
that.
then that you have those things happen. But all through their
Yeah.
childhood, early years, we read books together and went on trips together,
Mm,
things like that. So that was inspiring the time we all had together. And that's what my husband really appreciated that
yeah.
we were together and he'd come home and we'd all been somewhere and he could hear everyone's take on it and
Mm, yeah.
I
Beautiful.
knew I had loved being with them when they were little, or before school. So then I thought, well, I'll probably like this too.
I love that. It's almost like a little house in the prairie ambiance. I really like that a lot. I don't have siblings. I was born with my mom had some complications, so she couldn't have more children. But I know with my friends who were homeschooled and had lots of siblings, I see that in them where they're all very close. They all get along. They all do things together. It's like a sibling friendship mix, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Well, and I think even as an only child, you had your mom. Like it always
Mhm.
makes me laugh. People are like, well, I only have one child. They probably need all this thing. And I'm like, well, you speak English and you do things,
Exactly. Yeah.
and there's no problem with that. I realize it's a different dynamic, but I had
Yeah.
all that's a different dynamic than my friend with all boys or my friend that has
Yeah.
a mixture. So that's what I'm saying. Your family has a unique dynamic, and instead of sort of being I don't know, put down about what your dynamic is,
Yeah.
really water it and make it be the best thing it
Yes.
can be.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm very thankful that I was homeschooled because I've seen, now that I'm in my 20s, I've looked back and I've seen the foundation that it's built, that, I'm still living with my parents and we still get along. We still do stuff together. My mom and I still have our weekly traditions that we do because I mean, lack of a better term, we're best friends. And I
Yes.
think that's because of homeschooling. I really believe that. And I don't want to offend people who send their kids to public school, but I do think it really changes the dynamic. I think it's just a different relationship bond when you send your kids away versus when you keep them at home.
Yes.
I do.
I mean,
Yeah.
that should go without saying, right? Like, but we
Yeah.
do worry about offending others that way. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I
And
do
then
it a lot, I can't imagine how you do that. I could never do that.
I know, I know, but we're best friends. I think that negativity that comes with that, and this is where I was going to segue actually. How do you handle that backlash of homeschooling? How did you handle that growing up? Did you kind of let it roll? Did you like kind of take a stance? What did that?
I
Love it.
wish I had, I can have a sharp tongue, and through the Lord's grace, I have slowly managed to curb most of that. Not my husband would probably disagree, but most of that. So I always tried to be careful. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Like that's just
Right,
my wiring. And so
right,
I usually
right.
absorbed, negative things. I rolled
Hmm.
my eyes inside when people would say, "Well, don't you worry about socialization?" I didn't
Uh,
get a lot of criticism. My mother-in-law outright said, "I think that's a terrible idea." But my
wow.
husband was talking to her and he was just like, "Well, we're gonna do it." And so
Hmm.
she didn't really say much else to me about it. And then
Yeah,
eventually within a few years, she was introducing me as this is my daughter-in-law. She homeschools her daughters and it's so great. So I learned that
yeah,
sometimes people are negative, they just don't know.
yes. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think the
Yeah.
hardest time for me, if I'm honest, was probably high school as my kids were entering that age. And I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
that's the stage most people feel most insecure about homeschooling, right? You're
Yeah,
just like, how will you do high school? And I'm thinking, she's 9. I think I'll just worry about fourth grade next, right?
yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
So, and a lot of people quit at high school, which I understand they want different things, whatever. And so
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
probably the hardest time for me because I just thought, gird up your loins, girl. You're keeping on going, whether they are
Yes,
or not.
yes. Hmm.
And I know that high school can be, I was always told, maybe this isn't the prevailing wisdom now, but once you start high school, you really kind of need to keep going because schools
Yeah.
won't accept your work. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
we go
Yeah.
got freshman, sophomore, and then in junior year, we're like, let's go to school. They'll be like, too bad, she's got to start over. So,
Hmm.
make that
Yeah,
leap to make a big leap. But
yeah.
that was the hardest time for me. Other than that, again, there was no social media. I was very busy at home. I'm pretty heavily a homebody. So
Yeah.
I just was here. I was happy. And if someone criticized,
Hmm.
they don't have a clue. I'm having a blast over here for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah,
With
sure, sure. I like that a lot because I think I hear that so often, especially with what I'm doing now, is, well, I don't know about high school. People really are intimidated by that. And I honestly, like my mom, I just think she just went for it. She was like, we're just doing it. We're just going with it. So how do you suggest other moms can kind of overcome that hurdle?
oh, I think mothering requires a lot of fortitude. I think
Mm,
you have to have a
yeah.
good backbone. I think you have to make decisions and stand by them until they're
Hmm.
proven to be bad decisions, and then you have to be willing to pivot. And
Yep.
so I feel the same way about homeschooling. Like mothering, there were days I absolutely wanted to quit. Absolutely thought this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. I can't handle all of this responsibility. It wasn't even that I didn't like the kids. It just was like this is a big
Yeah,
deal.
overwhelming. Yeah.
And marriage, there's days you think, huh, he's not quite as cute as he was when I first found him. But you don't quit,
Oh
right?
my goodness. Yeah.
So homeschooling to me was the same. It's like this is sort of a relationship I'm building. And
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't a marriage, so there wasn't a vow, but I was like, until
Yeah.
this really isn't working, I'm going to keep going. And this is just the
Mm,
next step. I'm not trying
yeah.
to teach algebra to my 9-year-old. I'm teaching algebra
Yeah.
to the person who just did pre-algebra.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was very ready to, my kids took some classes from other people. My youngest daughter, she's 12 years younger than the oldest, and she
Hmm.
did her homeschooling all online,
Oh,
her
great.
her junior and senior years.
Awesome.
We were having a lot of grandbabies. We were having weddings. There was
Mm,
a lot of times I was
yeah.
leaving, or she was coming with me, and she loved this school. She had done a few classes through the
Yeah.
years, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, why don't you just do all of this?" And she was
Yeah.
in leadership. So
That's
there's lots
great.
to skin the cat. She was the only
Yeah.
one that did that. And if you had told me, early on, well, your last one will be all in online school, her junior and senior year, I was like, I don't think so. But
There you
like,
go. Yeah.
like the way of directing your paths there.
That's right. What, just out of curiosity, what program did she use?
She went to Wilson Hill Academy.
Wilsonville. Okay,
It's
great.
a classical school,
Awesome. Love
and
it.
it's kind of small, but really, really well run. It was very good. She didn't graduate from there. You can get a diploma from there, but
Good.
that my unschooling nature kept me from that kind of, like, I
Yeah, I
wanted her to
understand.
be
Yeah.
rigorous, but I wanted her to not be
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of work.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that a lot. And then to kind of transition, we've already touched on this a little bit, but what did you learn from your homeschooling experience?
Oh, well, I learned some math I never had understood actually all through high school. I took calculus. I couldn't tell you a thing about it. I just knew how to fall down the steps. I knew what the problem looked like and I knew what to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot of content. I learned that you can learn anything. There are
Mm,
materials to learn anything.
yeah.
And I learned that nobody knows everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Andrew Pudawa in the Institute for Excellence in
We've
Writing.
interviewed him. Yes. Yes. I love
Um,
him.
he was massively influential to me.
Mm,
I ordered the materials from him, and I can remember I got this phone call and I picked it up and it said, "Hello, Kimberly." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "This is Andrew Pudawa." And I said, "No way." And there had been
oh.
something with the order, right? Like he was so small then that he was
Mm,
probably filling the orders, but so
wow.
he helped me a ton. It was just like
Mm,
nobody knows everything. So you're only going to teach some substance,
yes.
some subset of knowledge. So don't worry about the rest of it.
Yes.
That
Yes.
that was very freeing. And so
Mm,
I think the thing I learned the most is if you can get a kid interested and not squash their curiosity and not make them think they're dumb, right? Like
yeah.
if someone takes a little extra time, let them take their extra time and
Yes.
don't even let them know they're taking extra time.
Mm,
You can
yes.
they're unstoppable in my opinion.
Yes, I love that. I think, yeah, we've interviewed Andrew, and I could honestly just listen to him talk for hours. He's just so fascinating. And I like that, how you said you can learn anything. I think that's the beauty of homeschooling is that as a parent, you grow alongside your student and you grow and learn together. I think that's a beautiful thing. And then to kind of touch on like some current hot topics within the homeschooling realm, why do you think, a little controversial, why do you think so many people are interested in homeschooling? I believe this, some statistics say it's up to 5 million, some say it's 3.5 million. So do you think, what do you think the reasoning is behind that? What are your opinions?
That's interesting. I think probably the statistics of the out the outcome of some of the public schools is a little compelling.
Mm,
Um, I
yeah,
know that just the whole situation is different in schools, even than it was when my girls would have gone to school.
right.
I think COVID sort of opened some people's eyes too, that they
Mm,
were forced to
definitely.
homeschool and they thought, oh, this is
Yeah.
really nice. I can pull
Yeah.
this. This isn't that hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not, I can't really speak to it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of, obviously still the Christian people want their kids at home, up to a
Mm-hmm.
large degree.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we're in a Christian school and the Christian schools are somewhat prohibitively costly at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I don't really know if the reasons have changed so much as it seems more doable because so many
Yeah.
people have done it.
Yes.
Everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows somebody who's homeschooled, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they know someone that they admire who's homeschooled.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was like, oh, homeschoolers are weird, you know. And I think people now are like, oh, he's a homeschooler and he's running this business, or she's a homeschooler and she is smart as a whip. Or do you see?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I would maintain that there are just we're all odd in our own
Mm-hmm.
way.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
I don't think there's a greater constituent of oddness in the homeschooling community than any other.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And I think too, um, I think what I'm seeing as well is bullying is playing a huge part. People are pulling their kids out for that. I just talked to someone at a picnic over the weekend, and they enrolled their son, online learning because he was actually being targeted by teachers. So I think it's just, yeah, I think bullying has played a huge part. Um, and I think, like you said, people just want their kids at home because they know it's doable and it's
Yeah.
achievable. Yeah.
Yeah. The bullying is a big deal. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
we didn't experience it. Well, we had, you always have these experiences. There's a bully everywhere. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
school. It's you're just they're not protected. They're there all the
Right.
time.
Right.
So yeah, that I imagine that is a huge. That would be one for me. I mean, that would be it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to kind of transition, what are your top five parenting tips for homeschooling families?
Okay, I did write these down. Just I'm
That's
not going to be able
fine.
to come up with these off the top.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, you should know why you're homeschooling. And we
Yes.
never had like a motto. We didn't have a school manifesto or anything like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that. But know why. Like, is it
Yeah.
academic? Is it for the family cohesiveness? Is it so you're in control of your schedule and you can go on vacation whenever you want, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
Just know why, because on those days that you want to quit, you got to go, oh no, this is why I'm doing
Yeah.
this. I'm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
tired and we need a break or we need to switch some things up, but we're doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. And I think to be flexible,
Mm-hmm.
like at one point, one of my daughters needed some vision therapy, and it just threw me for a loop. I had to do it every day. I had to take her to the doctor every 2 weeks. I can't remember. I might have had four other at that time, and it knocked me for a loop. And I was just like, relax. This is important. This is a
Yeah.
small thing right now. And I just was able to flex.
That's good.
Someone has to go to the hospital or someone has a doctor's appointment suddenly, or you just have to be flexible. If you don't get math done this today or even this whole week, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So at the same time, you also have to be consistent. So you can't say, well, we didn't get to math today. We'll get it to tomorrow. We'll get it. If there's,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to do the things. So
Yes.
it's like Nike, right? Just do it.
Mhm.
Like I said, if you want to
Yes.
be marked as a woman, as a mother who's happy and laughing, well, you have to be happy and laughing.
Yep.
So if you want
Yep.
them to get through this book at the end of the year, you have to take chunks out of it all the
Yep.
time.
Yep.
So
Mm.
set that and set realistic goals so you can be both flexible and consistent.
Yeah.
I always tried to have some sort of yearly plan for
Mm.
the
That's
um,
good.
so like, okay, this year we're going to cover these things. And now
Yeah.
it's taken us 2 years, oh, this was a lot more
Yeah.
and we'll take it.
Yeah.
But I had a plan. It wasn't
I like that. Yeah.
I didn't always have a 2-year plan, but I always had like, okay, when we do this this year, that'll be setting us up. Does that make sense?
Mm.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that
by then
does.
say, okay, here's Rapunzel, here's her 12 years of school. But I was like, oh, here's Rapunzel,
Yeah.
here's this year. And then the
Yeah.
next will set us up. Do you see what I mean?
That's
Um,
great.
and then I am a firm believer, as you will see if you're watching my Instagram at all, in schedules and routines and
Mm.
plans.
Yes.
Not as a way of binding your time and freedom, because I'm obviously
Sure.
into flexibility. But to me, if you have a plan, you can deviate from the plan very easily because then
Yes.
you just pick the plan up again, right? You,
Yes.
you can
Mm.
shut, right? Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to the beach in May. That's a school week for most people. We're throwing it away when we get back. We get back to it.
Yeah.
So I've talked about, even this week, I talked about meals, getting some sort of plan so you don't have to think about that anymore.
Yes.
Chores, make a plan so you don't have to think about it anymore. And
That's really good.
a lot of people are asking me with young kids what kind of schedule they need. And I'm working on how to express, you're just going to feed them again, nap them maybe again,
Yep. Yep.
play with them, keep them clean, let them get dirty in the outside, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And by the
Yeah.
time I had 5 kids playing piano, there was, I wanted the piano practicing done by dinner. I found that sometimes that wasn't happening. And then all through the dinner prep in the evening, someone was learning
Oh.
piano, right? Like it's not all
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And I was kind of like, we got to get this done during the day. So I made a
Yeah.
very specific schedule. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this one's on the piano and I'll work with this young one on this thing. But when the piano's done for her, I'll work with her on her math.
Yes.
And it was a little bit of work, but it was kind of a puzzle. And I was able
Yeah.
to see, oh, we have time for everything. right? And
That's
so
good.
then when someone said, "Oh, do you want to do debate club or would you like to be on the rowing team?" I could look and think, "No, we can't."
Yeah, yeah,
Or
you
we
know where it
can, and
fits.
we're
Yeah.
going to have to chuck this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a budget for your money. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want with your money. You just have to know where it's going, and your time
Yes.
is the same. So
That's
that's
great.
those are the five things. I don't know if
That's
they're
wonderful.
helpful.
No, that's great. I like that doing a plan because I think when we talked about moms can feel overwhelmed, I think that's a great way to start. It cuts back on the overwhelm. You know where you're going. If you have to flex a little bit, that's okay. You can always come back to it, like you said. I think that's really, really important. And then to kind of go off of that, how do you suggest families start slow when beginning their homeschooling journey?
Oh goodness. For your first child, or only child, um, I think that reading, learning their letters, teaching them to read at whatever pace. And I'm not saying, okay, the first year teach them to read. They might not learn to read the first year, but
Mm-hmm.
you're working on that. And then you're going
Mm-hmm.
to work on numbers and whatever math sense you can get into them that is
Yeah.
still fun. And I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend highly using games.
Mm. Yeah.
There are so many games. There's
Yes.
like Yahtzee. You count by different things. You order
Hmm.
numbers in Yahtzee. Even just we had this crazy old game called Bonkers, and
Mm.
it's all counting. I mean, this is
That's great. Yes, I love that.
bingo. My one daughter was struggling with the double digits. And so I got
Mm.
this bingo game and we played bingo and she loved it and she was the reader.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
she slowly, with
Ah,
completely no pain, none. She's loving it. She would say 71. I'd say, no, that's 17. See, 1, 7. Okay, great. Let's cover it up. And so
ah,
it was just very,
that's so smart.
I would do a lot of games and I would read aloud and I'd take that kid to as many places as you can. Free
Hmm.
places abound.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
the zoo, if you can afford a family pass and get that pass and go ask for a pass for Christmas. There's children's museums.
Hmm.
There are just so many opportunities.
Yeah.
There was a study back in the day, I haven't bothered to find it, where they said by third grade, the children who had had all of those experiences caught up with kids who were doing much more rigorous.
Mm.
They were reading, they were doing all of the things,
Oh, yeah.
and that was very encouraging. So
Yeah.
that's what I would
That's,
do. Someone starting, I would just do the very basics and read aloud to that kid as much as you can. Listen to audio,
mm,
it's easier.
yeah.
Um, that language building is incredible.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I like that audiobook suggestion. I know with like kinesthetic learners, it can be so hard to get them to read, and it might not be their favorite thing, but I think audiobooks are a great supplement because they can listen, do something with their hands, and yeah, I really like
Yeah.
that.
I had a
Um,
friend, she had two boys, and she would go out and read to them while they were on the swing set.
oh, that's so smart. I love that. Yeah, especially because they can be outside, get some sun.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's great. And then we kind of talked a little bit about this already, but why do you think kids need structure?
I think that they feel secure.
Mm,
I think that you're in charge. On some level, they know you're in charge. And I kind of equate it like if you would go to the doctor and he says something is wrong, whatever it is,
yeah,
doesn't matter, even a hangnail, and he says, well, this is what I would recommend. And I say, well, I would rather do this. And the doctor says, oh, well, okay, you could do that.
yeah,
You would lose complete respect in that doctor, right? If he,
right.
I don't know anything, but he's going to
Yeah,
let me sway his treatment of my illness.
yeah.
I feel like that does the same things to kids. I think they're trying
Mm,
to see if they can get you to budge, and
yeah.
sometimes we budge, right? Right, like, oh, chocolate or vanilla ice
Life
cream.
happens. Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like there's even studies where they say where there's a fenced yard, the children will go all the way out and play in the corners of
Mm-hmm.
where if it isn't fenced, they are a little bit
Mm-hmm.
stick closer to things. So I feel
Yeah.
like if you actually put the guardrails up of structure, they're more free. They know where
Yes.
the line is and they're not afraid, oh, this might be out of bounds or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
That's
that
good.
parents in an effort to be, easy to get along with,
Mm-hmm.
let things go and go and go until they kind of snap.
Yeah.
And then the kid's like, well, you've said 3 times that was fine, or you've implied it by letting me do it. And now this hammer's falling on my head. And it's not, that doesn't feel good. I mean, you wouldn't like that at work, right? You're like, oh, I'm
Right.
going to do this. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And then you're in trouble at your yearly review, right?
Yes.
No.
Right.
So
Right.
I think structure in that regard is just very stabilizing for kids.
Mm. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's really, really good. And then kind of going off of that, how do you suggest families build a rhythm or a schedule, routine, whatever you want to call it?
Well, I've told a lot of people start with your meals. Even my daughters sometime have been like, "Oh, my baby is, really fussy, blah blah blah," and I'll say, "Well, I would start the day at the same time every day."
Mm.
So again, it's just a little structure.
Yeah.
So that's where I've said, have some set meal times in your head. Not,
Yeah.
12:01 and 35 seconds. I mean, noonish, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
8ish for breakfast, noonish for lunch, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just have a little bit of signposts through the day as you start. This is roughly
Mm-hmm.
when the baby's going to take her morning nap. Then we'll eat lunch.
Sure.
This is then when we're going to go to the store because everyone should be happy because they're full, not quite yet ready for the naps. Then we come home, and then this is roughly the nap time. So I think that kind of rhythm is good. And I
Yeah.
think mom really sets it. I know some moms that want to go, 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 right? Like I want to go somewhere every day. I did not want to go somewhere every day.
I relate to that.
So there's nothing wrong with that. But I
Mm-hmm.
was also not like, we're just staying home. There's nothing to do. Mommy's happy at home. You people, do you see what I mean? So
Yes.
you do have to
Yes.
take into account the little people you have in your house. But it's
Yes.
okay that busy Betty wants to go, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
happy Holly at
That's
home
cute.
is fine too, right? So I
Yeah, I
think
love that.
again, I want people to feel a little more secure in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
choosing, right? I mean,
Yeah,
your own family. There's not a way to do it. So do
that's
it
right.
with you and your husband and your children's personalities. And the same with the school. I mean, if you're going to homeschool, to me, I'm doing it my way. Otherwise, I'm going to put them in school and they can do it their way and I'll be free all day, right? The whole point is that I
Right,
do it the way I want, not worry about
right.
what other people are telling me to do. So I
That's
don't know
really
if that
good.
answers the questions very well, but
No, that
just
does.
yeah.
Yeah, that does. I like that. I know. There's some homeschooling families who can go, go, go. I would have exploded if my mom would have done that, and I think that's a really important piece that you said there, like make the decision based on your family and your family culture. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and your
Um,
income, your finances, your location, there's just so many things.
yeah,
Again, this is where Instagram, we're like, "Oh, I think I would like to have cows." Well, that might be ridiculous for you. Cows are a
right.
lot of work.
Yeah,
So anyway, I think
right.
that
Yes, that's a good
looking
analogy. I like that.
seeing everybody's life, right? You live in
Hmm.
your neighborhood, and we used to just really know what was going on day to day in our neighborhood. And it was all
Right?
pretty similar because we're all in the same neighborhood. So
Hmm.
I think knowing what everyone else in the world is doing isn't always very helpful.
Yeah, that's really good. And then to kind of segue, why do you think families should encourage boredom, and how do you encourage boredom? Like, why is it a good thing?
I think it's a good thing because too many organized things takes the imagination out of everything.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
I think it's good because kids they come up with the craziest things to play, right? Like my girls, we had an empty lot next to us for years and years and years. And they would, in the spring, they'd be like, well, not eventually, they love to be outside, but it's
sure. Yeah.
always and they'd be like, there's nothing to do out here, blah, blah, blah. I was like, there is. So I'm gonna be in here making dinner and I'll watch, but you get busy. And it
Mhm.
might take some time, some fussing, some wandering around, kicking things, but invariably by dinner time, I come on in here, we're playing. And then the next
Mm,
we're gonna go back out because we've made this little net.
yes.
They beat down the lot next door and have paths and they have a little house and they're making stew
Mm,
that my husband and we'll find later in a bucket that stinks, from all the grass and water. So I think that you're kind of robbing them of being able to build memories and
yeah.
work their little bodies in way, they ran around in ways that if I had put them on a track team, they probably would have complained, but they were so good.
Yeah. Mm.
I think boredom is, I think it used to be much more a part of childhood. You know,
Yes.
our
Yes.
mothers were just like, go play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We had a bike and
Yes.
some balls and maybe a yard, and that they didn't care. And they didn't think
Yeah.
twice about it. And
Yeah.
so, and it was good for us. And so I think we
Mm-hmm.
kind of lost that. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one young mom said to me, she said, we have basically been told that our parents did it all wrong. And so we are
Mm.
left not knowing what to do at all. And so
Wow.
I think there has been a jettisoning of, whatever the old time ways, maybe, or everybody's like, well, you can't do that anymore. It's not safe outside. This isn't
Yeah.
realistic. And those are true. I mean, but I watched my kids. I didn't go take a nap while they were playing outside. Right.
Right.
So I just think that boredom used to be part of kids' lives, and we need to get
Mm-hmm.
it back.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm so thankful that my parents, encourage outdoor play and boredom. And I mean, I was very imaginative, and I think that has transferred over into the creative things that I do as an adult because I was, able to do those things for so long. And now, that's just a part of me and a part of my core as a human being.
Yeah.
So I really like that you said that. And then just to kind of wrap up, since we're coming up on an hour, where can people find you? I know you'd mentioned about your newsletter and your guide possibly coming out soon. Uh,
It'll be out. My plan is Thursday or Friday, so it won't be too
Great,
long.
great.
I'm on Instagram. I'm just trying to post a couple reels every week, trying to answer questions. I put a question box up yesterday, and I got a little overwhelmed because there were a lot of questions, which I
Mm,
thought was great because I
yeah,
want to know what people's pain points are.
sure.
I
Yeah.
had to be like, okay, I can't answer all of these questions. Like everyone, like,
Yeah.
I have one little granny over here. There's no team. So, but I love Instagram. I'm answering as many DMs as I can get to, and
That's great.
so I'm doing that. And I have like a little freebie. What I wish I had known: 7 things every homeschooling mom should know.
That's
And my
good.
record keeping guide is just like I said, I have only sent it to the newsletter people, but I took all my 24 years of records, which were just, the curriculum we used.
Yeah,
Some years I had field trips written down. Some years I included a few read alouds.
sure.
Um, but it was just a skeleton. It was just
Love
literally.
that.
So then when I had my youngest, I was like, what did I do with the other ones in third grade? And I could look. And
Mm,
so then I sort of annotated it. Like, this is what was going on.
yeah.
This is where I got a little overwhelmed. Look at all this stuff I was trying to do. So it's kind of
Mm,
autobiographical, but I
I
hope
like that.
a little map. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be really complicated.
Mm,
Um, and then I included we called them assignment sheets. I always had the girls every week. They each had their own where we would fill in what they got done. And then I
oh,
kept
that's great.
that would helped me know what we had done through the year. And I put in 3 transcripts that I used
Wonderful.
to they got accepted based on those transcripts.
Wonderful.
It was just some stuff like that. I wish I had had this. Like, you don't necessarily need a
Yeah.
transcript in third grade, but I thought it might be helpful to see, okay, this kid, here she was, K through 12, and here's a transcript that reflects.
Mm,
So that's what I did. We'll see if
wonderful.
it's helpful to people. So
That's great. And can people find your newsletter? Is it in your LinkedIn or do you have or not a LinkedIn, but a link tree or
yeah, I have a link in my bio, and you can sign up for the newsletter and the freebie there. And then if you sign up for the newsletter, it'll send you a link for the record keep.
wonderful.
So
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I think this is going to be very informative and supportive for homeschooling
I hope
families and people who are interested.
I hope so. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you get something good out of there.
Thank you so much. I took a lot away just on a personal level, so I really appreciate it.
That's great. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it and making it easy for me.
Sure. Thank you.